A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain, Chapter 9, The Tournament. They were always having grand tournaments there at Camelot, and very stirring and picturesque and ridiculous human bullfights they were, too, but just a little wearisome to the practical mind. However, I was generally on hand for two reasons. A man must not hold himself aloof from the things which his friends and his community have at heart if he would be liked, especially as a statesman, and both as businessman and statesman I wanted to study the tournament and see if I couldn't invent an improvement on it. That reminds me to remark in passing that the very first official thing I did in my administration, and it was on the very first day of it, too, was to start a patent office, for I knew that a country without a patent office and good patent laws was just a crab and couldn't travel any way but sideways or backwards. Things ran along, a tournament nearly every week, and now and then the boys used to want me to take a hand. I mean Sir Launcelot and the rest. But I said I would by and by, no hurry yet, and too much government machinery to oil up and set to rights and start a-going. We had one tournament which was continued from day to day during more than a week, and as many as 500 knights took part in it, from first to last. They were weeks gathering. They came on horseback from everywhere, from the very ends of the country, and even from beyond the sea, and many brought ladies, and all brought squires and troops and servants. It was a most gaudy and gorgeous crowd. As to the costumery, and the very characteristics of the country at the time, in the way of high-spirited animals, innocent indecencies of language, and happy-hearted indifference to morals, it was fight or look on all day and every day, and sing, gamble, dance, carouse half the night every night. They had a most noble good time. You never saw such people. Those banks of beautiful ladies, shining in their barbaric splendor, would see a knight sprawl from his horse on the lists with a lance shaft the thickness of your ankle clean through him and blood sporting, and instead of fainting, they would clap their hands and crowd each other for a better view, only sometimes one would dive into a handkerchief and look ostentatiously broken-hearted, and then you could lay 2 to 1 that there was a scandal there somewhere, and she was afraid the public hadn't found it out. The noise at night would have been annoying to me ordinarily, but I didn't mind it in the present circumstances, because it kept me from hearing the quacks of detaching legs and arms from the day's cripples. They ruined an uncommon good old cross-cut saw for me, and broke the sawbuck too, but I let it pass. And as for my axe, well, I made up my mind that next time I lent an axe to a surgeon, I would pick my century. I not only watched this tournament from day to day, but detailed an intelligent priest from my department of public morals and agriculture, and ordered him to report it. For it was my purpose by and by, when I should have gotten the people along far enough, to start a newspaper. The first thing you want in a new country is a patent office. Then work up your school system, and after that, out with your paper. A newspaper has its faults, and plenty of them, but no matter. It's hark from the tomb for a dead nation, and don't you forget it. You can't resurrect a dead nation without it. There isn't any way, so I wanted to sample things, and be finding out what sort of reporter material I might be able to rake together out of the 6th century when I should come to need it. Well, the priest did very well, considering. He got in all the details, and that is a good thing in a local item, you see. He had kept books for the undertaker department of his church when he was younger, and there, you know, the money's in the details. The more detail, the more swag-bearers, mutes, candles, prayers, everything counts. And if the bereaved don't buy prayers enough, you mark up your candles with a forked pencil, and your bill shows up all right. And he had a good knack at getting in the complimentary thing here and there about a knight who was likely to advertise. No, I mean a knight that had influence, and he also had a neat gift of exaggeration, for in his time he had kept door for a pious hermit who lived in a sty and worked miracles. Of course, this novice's report lacked whoop and crash and lurid description, and therefore wanted the true ring, but its antique wording was quaint and sweet and simple and full of fragrances and flowers of the time. And these little merits made up in a measure for its more important lacks. Here is an extract from it. Then Sir Brian, Dilys Isles and Grummerson, knights of the castle, encountered with Sir Aglavale and Sir Tor, and Sir Tor smote down Sir Grummerson to the earth. Then Sir Carados of the Dolorous Tower and Sir Turquine, knights of that castle, and there encountered with him Sir Percival de Gallis and Sir Lamorak de Gallis, that were two brothers, and there encountered Sir Percival and Sir Carados, and either brake their spurs into their hands, and then Sir Turquine with Sir Lamorak, and either of them smote down other, horse and all, to the earth, and either parties rescued other and horsed them again. And Sir Arnold and Sir Garter, knights of the castle, encountered with Sir Brandiles and Sir Kay, and these four knights encountered mightily, and brake their spears to their heads. Then came Sir Pertilope from the castle, and there encountered with him Sir Lionel. And there Sir Pertilope the Green Knight smote down Sir Lionel, brother to Sir Launcelot. All this was marked by noble heralds, who bare him best, and their names. Then Sir Bleoberis broke his spear upon Sir Gareth, but of that stroke Sir Bleoberis fell to the earth. When Sir Galahodin saw that, he bade Sir Gareth keep him, and Sir Gareth smote him to the earth. Then Sir Galahad got spear to avenge his brother, and in the same wise Sir Gareth served him, and Sir Dinadan and his brother Le Cote Mail Tally, and Sir Sagramore Le Desirius, and Sir Dodinus Le Savage, all these he bare down with one spear. When King Aguisance of Ireland saw Sir Gareth fair, so he marvelled what he might be, that one time seemed green, and another time at his again coming he seemed blue, and thus at every course that he rode to and fro he changed his colour, so that there might neither king nor knight have ready cognizance of him. Then Sir Aguisance, the King of Ireland, encountered with Sir Gareth, and there Sir Gareth smote him from his horse, saddle and all. And then came King Carados of Scotland, and Sir Gareth smote him down, horse and man. And in the same wise he served King Uraines of the land of Gore. And then there came Sir Bagdamus, and Sir Gareth smote him down, horse and man, to the earth. And Bagdamagus's son Meliganus broke a spear upon Sir Gareth mightily and knightly. And then Sir Galahant, the noble prince, cried on high, Knight with the many colours, well hast thou jousted, now make thee ready that I may just with thee. Sir Gareth heard him, and he gat a great spear, and so they encountered together. And there the prince broke his spear, but Sir Gareth smote him upon the left side of the helm, that he reeled here and there, and he had fallen down, had not his men recovered him. Truly, said King Arthur, that knight with the many colours is a good knight. Wherefore the king called unto him Sir Launcelot, and prayed him to encounter with that knight. Sir, said Launcelot, I may as well find in my heart for to forbear him at this time, for he hath had travail enough this day, and when a good knight doth so well upon some day, it is no good knight's part to let him of his worship, and namely when he seeth a knight hath done so great labour. For peradventure, said Sir Launcelot, his quarrel is here this day, and peradventure he is best beloved with this lady, and all that be here. For I see well he painteth himself, and enforceth him to do great deeds. And therefore, said Sir Launcelot, as for me this day he shall have the honour, though it lay in my power to put him from it, I would not. There was an unpleasant little episode that day, which for reasons of state I struck out of my priest's report. You will have noticed that Gary was doing some great fighting in this engagement. When I say Gary, I mean Sir Gareth. Gary was my private pet name for him. It suggests that I had a deep affection for him, and that was the case. But it was a private pet name only, and never spoken aloud to anyone, much less to him, being a noble. He would not have endured a familiarity like that from me. Well, to proceed, I sat in the private box, set apart for me as the king's minister, while Sir Dinadan was waiting for his turn to enter the lists. He came in there and sat down and began to talk, for he was always making up to me, because I was a stranger, and he liked to have a fresh market for his jokes, and most of them having reached that stage of where the teller has to do the laughing himself while the other person looks sick. I had always responded to his efforts as well as I could, and felt a very deep and real kindness for him too, for the reason that if by malice of fate he knew the one particular antidote which I had heard oftenest, and had most hated and most loathed all my life, he had at least spared it me. It was one which I had heard attributed to every humorous person who had ever stood on American soil, from Columbus down to Artemus Ward. It was a kind of humorous lecturer who flooded an arrogant audience with the killingest jokes for an hour and never got a laugh. And when he was leaving, some gray simpletons wrung him gratefully by the hand and said it had been the funniest thing they had ever heard, and it was all they could do to keep from laughing right out in the meetin'. That anecdote never saw the day that it was worth the telling, and yet I had sat under the telling of it hundreds and thousands and millions and billions of times, and cried and cursed all the way through. Then who can hope to know what my feelings were, to hear this armor-plated ass start on it again in the murky twilight of tradition before the dawn of history, even, well, Lactantius might be referred to as the late Lactantius, and the Crusades wouldn't be born for 500 years yet. Just as he finished, the call-boy came, so haw-hawing like a demon he went rattling and clanking out like a crate of loose castings, and I knew nothing more. It was some minutes before I came to, and then I opened my eyes just in time to see Sir Gareth fetch him an awful welt, and I unconsciously out with the prayer, "I hope to gracious he's killed." But, by ill luck, before I had got half through with the words, Sir Gareth crashed into Sir Sagramore le Destrius and sent him thundering over his horse's crupper, and Sir Sagramore caught my remark and thought I meant it for him. Well, whenever one of those people got a thing into his head, there was no getting it out again. I knew that, so I saved my breath and offered no explanations. As soon as Sir Sagramore got well, he notified me that there was a little account to settle between us, and he named a day 3 or 4 years in the future, place of settlement, the lists where the offences had been given. I said I would be ready when he got back. You see, he was going for the Holy Grail. The boys all took a flyer to the Holy Grail now and then. A flyer at the Holy Grail now and then. It was a several years' cruise. They always put in the long absence snooping around, and in the most conscientious way, though none of them had any idea where the Holy Grail really was. And I don't think any of them actually expected to find it, or would have known what to do with it if he had run across it. You see, it was just the Northwest Passage of that day, as you may say. That was all. Every year expeditions went out Holy Grailing, and next year relief expeditions went out to hunt for them. There was worlds of reputation in it, but no money. Why, they actually wanted me to put in. Well, I should smile. And that is the end of Chapter 9.